The NBA's 2013 draft night will go down as one of the most hilariously spectacular evenings in league history, as the Boston Celtics and Brooklyn Nets agreed to possibly the most lopsided trade ever. This deal was so epically bad, it makes the Spurs' decision to trade Kawhi look okay. The Celtics sent the decomposing corpses of Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Jason Terry to the Nets for Gerald Wallace, Chris Humphries, Marshawn Brooks, Keith Bogans, Chris Joseph, and 3 unprotected first-round draft picks.
What?
Yes, you heard that right. Unprotected. The Nets got the Celtics pregnant. About those picks, Boston received first-rounders in 2014, 2016, and 2018. In addition, the Celtics also got the rights to swap first-round picks in 2017. While teaming up Pierce, Garnett, and Terry with Darren Williams, Brook Lopez, and ISO Joe Johnson made sense on paper, everyone could see this impending disaster. At the time of the trade, KG was 37, Pierce was 36, and Terry was 35. The Nets' all-in season netted them a second-round exit via the hands of LeBron James and the Heat. The rest is history. Garnett and Pierce were out of Brooklyn by 2015, while the Celtics' president of basketball operations, Danny Ainge, used the Nets' draft assets to land Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum, and made a trade for Kyrie Irving. This heist has become a cautionary tale for all of the general managers around the league. Winning now worked out for some teams, but has backfired many times. It could work, it could fail, but 3 unprotected picks is code for self-sabotage. So, who is to blame for this debacle? Why did the Nets agree to this trade? Billy King, the Nets GM at the time, is the one who naturally gets the majority of the blame. But was he the main culprit? King took full ownership of the disastrous trade. However, he had pressure from the then new Nets owner Mikhail Prokhorov. He even said he wouldn't have made the trade if he was a GM of another team. And for those who may have somehow forgotten, Prokhorov came to the NBA with incredible fanfare. He talked about winning an NBA title within 5 years. Outlets wrote puff pieces while ignoring how he earned his money in Wild Westish Russian landscape, and then he vanished like a fart in the wind. So let's dig into that for a moment. Despite his grand proclamations and heavy monetary commitment to the Nets, Prokhorov was never around and rarely talked to anybody besides the Russian underlings he had left behind. Mainly his liaison, Dmitry Razumov. Razumov, the chairman of the board of directors, acted in many ways as the owner of the team, operating out of the spotlight but very much enjoying the glamorous perks that accompanied the position, like courtside seats next to Jay-Z. An investment banker by trade, he knew nothing about basketball before joining the Nets. Just the person you want running your NBA team, right? A lot of people have said Razumov wanted to make a splash and push King to deal for Garnett and Pierce. Dimitri's a star chaser, said a former Nets executive, and Prokhorov and his people were obsessed with the flashiest things. The biggest yacht, the most expensive champagne, the biggest stars, the Mercedes. Meanwhile, nobody in basketball operations dealt directly with Prokhorov, who always talked a big game in press conferences. Case in point, that same season, Prokhorov went 5+ months without attending a game. Have you ever not shown up to work for 5 months? Has your boss not shown up to your place of operations for 5 months? 5 months is a long time. You can binge every season of The Office, Game of Thrones, Friends, The Wire, The Sopranos, and still have time left over to consume hundreds of hours of whatever tickles your fancy. Anyway, in total, 15 players and picks were exchanged in the original deal. Luckily for Nets fans, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. King was fired and Sean Marks was named the Nets' new GM in 2016. He and his staff made franchise-transforming moves since. It took 5 years, many nightmares, and then everything settled. They stole D'Angelo Russell, developed exciting talent like Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie, made the playoffs, set themselves to compete in free agency, and potentially bring a super team to Brooklyn. After the notorious trade, Prokhorov became more and more distant from the team, and in 2017, he sold 49% of his Nets stake to Joseph Tsai, co-founder of a Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba. So while Billy King will always be remembered as the fall guy, don't forget about Prokhorov and his minion Razumov as the ones who really pulled the strings. The good news here, the trade is over and Prokhorov is gone. Brooklyn is back in the driver's seat.